Well, we'll get started, and you can preach to the youth all you want about staying at home. First ever evening quarantine conversation. I normally do these like during the day, but duty calls. You're working all day, Brandon.
hmm
Busy boy. I mean, McDonald's is an essential business. So no, I'm kidding. Brandon, what are you doing these days?
So I'm working with LA County Fire. We're assisting in a lot of COVID testing sites right now. So we're not administering the test to people. We're just there to make sure they take the test correctly and the site's running correctly and the nursing staff is doing what they're supposed to be doing at the site.
So
So
would you say this is low stress work or high stress work?
it's high stress when you get too close to some people, and some people are clearly sick and they get a little too close, and you're trying to keep them away, and it's 90-degree heat, and you're wearing full boots, pants, shirt, and gallons, gloves. It gets kind of hot, and sometimes it's hard to think straight some in long days. So I would say it goes from high stress to low stress, but it goes pretty fast back and forth.
What is like the vibe there right now? Like, I know vibe's definitely the wrong word to use, but like,
Yeah.
what is it like over there, like at a testing site? Because are you at the Galleria?
Yeah, so I started at the South Bay Galleria. I was there for a little bit, and then I got transferred to the Forum.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
yeah, I thought I was going to get a tour of the Forum, but I guess not. And then the site I'm currently at is at Carson near Harbor, UCLA.
Okay.
So the vibes are kind of the same. Obviously, the location going from Torrance to Inglewood to Carson, the people that live in that area is definitely kind of sets the vibe pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But most people are nervous, and they have every right to be nervous
Yeah.
through this pandemic. People are scared. They're worried about their if they come back positive, or I mean, it's a scary thing. You're coming up to a testing site and we're all covered up and you can't even see any skin on us, and we're like doing weird hand signs to try to get to see their ID or confirmation number, and they're like, I don't know what to do. Like,
Oh
oh,
my gosh. That is insane. Are you
yeah.
full 9 to 5 like every day there?
They're a little bit longer than 9 to 5s.
Like 12 to 2, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, we do get some lunch breaks.
Yeah.
It slows down, but I'm usually there around 6:30,
Oh my
and
goodness.
um, most of the days I get off around 7 or
Oh my
so.
gosh.
We're scheduled 7 to 7 as an incident, so it's 7 to 7 indefinitely until notice otherwise. And some days, we start earlier or end later, and I mean every day is a different situation. So they're long days of the same thing over and over again.
I legitimately cannot imagine what your life is like right now. You have such a unique perspective on all this. What do you think about like the people who want California to reopen really fast? Like, are you on their side? Or maybe you don't need to take sides, but like you get to see this day in, day out firsthand. Like, what would you say to someone who's like, this is no big deal?
I think for people who say it's no big deal, I feel like just as time goes on, people get this becomes like more normal to them, and people don't see like how intense this could be. I feel like seeing some patients who are beyond sick,
Wow.
I mean, are extremely sick, and they shouldn't even be testing. They should just be in a hospital. I feel like in my opinion, it should just people need to listen to what everything's saying,
Yeah.
just because this is a very this virus is very infectious, and people can get it really easily. And people like you and I who may be healthy, we could get it but show no symptoms, but transport it to someone who is unhealthy. And that's the thing that scares me the most, is we don't know unless you get tested constantly, and try to keep clean who you're transporting
Yeah.
whatever to.
Wow. Dude, that is so gnarly. Like I keep saying, you have this crazy, crazy job right now. How are you unwinding? How do you get space from that? And how are you entering into normal life?
Well, luckily, my last day off, I don't even know when it was actually, but I have tomorrow off, which is nice.
Nice.
Um, but it's one of those things you do it so much, like day 3, day 4, 5, 6, 7. Like that first week was the hardest week, and then after that, you got in this like rhythm and this schedule, so it just became normal. But I mean, what I've been doing a lot is I'll try to get up extremely, I mean, not extremely early, but as early as I
Yeah.
possibly can before I get sleep deprived. And I try to just listen to the radio on just some like 100.3 and just try to listen to some worship music and listen to them talk. And whenever they start talking about COVID, I try to turn it off and just try to, not think about it and try to talk to my friends that aren't, we're not going to talk about COVID just because I've been around it and I understand people want to know like when are we going to reopen? When are the beaches going to reopen?
That
It's
was that's so funny.
like if you do your part, they should have been open a long time ago. But
Wow.
since we have our part, everything's kind of prolonging just because of. I mean, this is very very intense, and I mean, I think the biggest thing I do is once I'm at work, it's work. Once
Mm-hmm.
I'm home, there's no work. I'm not talking anything about COVID. I might talk to, some of my close friends and just do like, all right, we're going to talk 5 minutes about COVID. I'm going to tell you about my day. I'm going to tell you about, the pros and cons of it, highs and lows, and then we're going to move on. Like, no more
Nice.
COVID. That's it.
That's awesome. That's cool. Have they been responding to that very well, or they're like, no, I want to know when I can surf again?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, dude, this is something that, I mean, no one has experienced anything to this extent.
No.
And even like some of the, people I work with who've been on major incidences like 9/11 and so forth, they're
Wow.
like, it's intense. Not comparing intensity, one was more intense than the other, but the way that this is being prolonged, and there's so many unknown factors of what's the next thing we're gonna do. Like, are we gonna open? Is it smart that we reopen? Are we gonna have a second wave? Is there gonna be a third wave? Is the vaccine gonna work? Are the antibodies gonna work? So,
Jeez. And you live this all day, and then you come home, turn on the news, turn on the conversation with a friend, and it's just this all the time. So what do you miss talking about most?
oh, I think what I miss talking about most is just. I think I told one of my high school impact kids this. I was like, "Oh, like let me just hear your highs and lows. Like, please say school and please say video games. Like, I want to hear that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hear any COVID.
Right.
I don't hear about staying at home. I mean, I think I just miss like people. Like, I feel like people are so opinionated now. And
Mm.
they think they know what's right and know what's. I mean, some people do, and some people just have their thoughts. Be nice just to like have a normal conversation, like when you and I went for coffee, just talk
Yeah.
and have a coffee, and then that's it.
Yeah. Do you find that people are like looking to you to like give them peace? Like they're so stressed, it's so uncertain, and they're like, Brandon, tell me, like, do they put you in that role?
We have when I'm at work, we have special like personnel to deal with those high stress situations. I think like my mom or family members or close friends, they're like, "Oh, so like, what do you know about this? Like, what,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know anything we don't know?" And it's like, what I tell everyone, it's like, what you know is what I know.
Mm-hmm.
We know nothing.
Wow.
And just waiting for this out. We're riding this train, and we're waiting for that light at the end of the tunnel. But I mean, all we need is one person to be infected with COVID, and then that one person can spread to everyone. That's how it started. That's how it's going to keep going.
Crazy, man. That is crazy. So you'd mentioned that you come home from work, try to unwind with some good friends, and this is a crazy time, obviously, because like everything's closed. But I'm wondering, what are you doing to fight against the isolation that a lot of us are feeling? I know a lot of students are feeling it as well, and they'll be watching this. And I'm wondering, Brandon, what have you been doing to fight against that loneliness and that isolation?
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a different situation than that. A question that, I mean, probably some people are going to hate me for this, but I feel like I'm not isolated because all I'm doing for 12 hours out of my day is talking to people. And I have a good group of coworkers I work with, and we're talking all day and just trying to be normal. And we're talking to the people that show up to work. So I feel like I'm just constantly talking. So when I get home, it's just lights out, not really gonna talk to anyone, and try to shelter myself at home in a little igloo.
You kind of want to stay isolated.
Yeah.
That's interesting. How do you stay isolated then and not jump into like a lonely place?
I feel like on my like last day off, I did a lot of just my own like self-reflecting. Like, this is a big incident, and I don't know if I've fully comprehended
Mm-hmm.
everything. And there's a lot of things that you can't unsee, or
Yeah.
the emotions some people feel. You can't. It's hard to not take it to heart. So I feel like I do a lot of things just on my own, trying to like, even if I just like have the Bible open and look at it, like it's just kind of like this comforting. Or if I'm praying and just babbling to God of like, all right, God, like this was a hard thing to see, or this hurt me, or um, it's more of just self-talk
Mm-hmm.
than anything. I tried journaling, but last couple of times I journaled, I fell asleep.
That's me every morning, dude. If I showed you my journal, it'd be like I literally am like, I can't do this. I'll check back in later.
So, I mean, I think the biggest thing I do is I try to like keep my work-life balance like
Mm-hmm.
really separate, and I try not to, because early when this whole thing started, I was just constantly talking about COVID
Yeah.
and talking about what's going on and the new changes and policy updates and protocols and all these things that are popping up, and that was kind of taking a toll on me. So I finally just stopped that and kind of got to peace with that.
That's good. What has the Lord been teaching you in this time?
That we need our quiet time.
That's good.
We need our quiet time.
That's
There's
great.
something where I would hit snooze, and then my day of just not starting my day off right, or even just talking to God and praying, or even just my worship music in the morning, or a podcast or anything, just to have God's time. It shows you when you're running constantly and you're running this marathon, you need to constantly like do that self check and pause and like turn back to God for all this.
Wow, that's huge. That's really awesome to hear. And you recommend podcasts a lot. You're good at that. You've recommended me 3 podcasts, all three of which I've listened to, and that's good. So it's cool to hear that you're still finding that stuff. So I have 2 more questions for you. I was gonna make a joke and be like, Brandon, when are the beaches gonna open? Like, because I'm sure you get that a million times. But I think I asked you what you miss talking about. Like, just what do you miss most about normal life?
I think I just miss like, I mean, for me, like the ocean is like my peace, like
Yeah.
my like this is where I feel like the closest to God, and people are gonna think that's super cheesy, but you know what? That's
No,
my life.
that's you.
But I miss just like experiencing like God's creation, like going on hiking trails, and like just even like feeling the sand or being in the water. I mean, I miss that a ton. And like we're all lifeguards I work with, and we're all talking about it. We're all like chomping at the bit on when we can go back.
Yeah. Did you see all the red tide and all those posts and everything? Did you go down and check it out?
Yeah, I took my boat out and on a late day, and then I had work the next day, so it was a tough one, but it was nice to go look at all the bioluminescence and see all the cool fish
That's
and
so rad.
experience a little freedom and just like calm and peace.
Amen. Freedom, calm, and peace. That's huge. Yeah, and I'm thankful that you took some time to talk to me. I know that you live in this COVID saturated world, and that's all you talk about. So I can imagine this might not have been so fun. So I'll end on a fun question. What have you been doing, watching, listening, reading, that's been bringing you joy or bringing you that peace, bringing you that freedom that you wanna let us know about?
Well, I haven't really been watching too much because I can't even get through 10 minutes of watching something without falling asleep.
Yeah.
And reading's been kind of hard. I like reading, but I get through a page and then I'm like, I have no idea what I just read. And but I think the funnest thing I've been doing was just doing like small little either like adventures or like FaceTime or calling people and like saying like, what was the last trip you went on and what'd you do? Like, oh, tell me about it. It's like, oh, what was the last meal you ate like before you went on this gnarly trip? Like, what was it? And just hearing people like talk about that, you could like see the joy people are getting from it. Like, oh yeah, I had so much fun on this trip, and I did this and that, and it was fun just like letting people like step out of COVID and like relive what everyone else was doing before all this
That's
happened.
awesome. So your joy is coming from just seeing other people's joy.
Yeah, because
So
I'm like full tunnel vision
yeah.
of wake up, go to work, go to bed.
So then I'll ask you that question. What was the last like rad trip you went on and the meal you ate before and all that good stuff? How would you answer that question?
Oh, I think the last meal I had. Well, it was funny too. I was talking about this with some coworkers. I was telling them like, "Oh, we had this big crawfish boil, and it got canceled." And I was like, "Oh, we could have had." I was telling them, I was like, "I think the last like big memory
That's
I had
funny.
was like, I mean, I want to say that, but we had some fun like lobster barbecues at Alpine
Oh yeah.
stuff, and I think that was like the last big meal and kind
Yeah.
of really fun adventure I went on.
That's
last.
awesome. That's fun. Where are you hoping to go when this is all over?
To bed. Straight to bed. I'm gonna do my stay-at-home order for a couple weeks. I'm gonna rest, play my part in this, but I don't know. I mean, airlines are cheap right now,
Yeah.
so
I saw Carnival Cruise is offering $28 a day tickets starting August 1st.
maybe I'll be doing that.
Have you ever been on a cruise before?
Yeah, I went on a couple to Mexico. They were so much fun. It's the biggest. I mean, free food all day.
All day. I mean, there's nothing better than that. And they'll probably be so safe.
Yeah, and all the ice cream too.
Oh, so good. Well, Brandon, get some sleep, man. Thanks so much for taking some time to talk to me. I'm glad I got to hear from you. I'm glad you're doing well, glad you're safe and healthy, and I'll be praying that you continue to stay that way. And thank you for what you're doing. You are making a lot of people feel at ease, and you are a light of hope for a lot. So just keep that in mind, man.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Sleep well, and enjoy your podcast or whatever.
Yeah, thank you.